can see the sun, I'm rising up, I feel the love now. Oh, it's in my vision. Oh, it's gonna take me a little while just to get my head around this moment. And it's telling me run.
Hey guys, how are you doing? I'm Tquita.
And I'm Kimberly, and welcome back to Sex in the City Part 2.
I hope you guys are ready to talk about what we're talking about today, because last week we talked about Sex in the City, and we answered about 4 questions, which took about an hour. And also Kimberly at the beginning, she had a really hot topic that she wanted to discuss. It was very significant, and today we are addressing some more questions, and these are real life questions from real people that ask these questions. Okay, so we're going to be talking about Sex in the City Part 2, subject toys. And I'm not talking about the dumb truck you got your little 5-year-old for his birthday, or the Barbie that you got for Christmas when you were 10. No, we're talking about sex toys, because we have plenty of sex toy questions, and also we'll be talking about oral sex. Because we have some oral sex questions. And we have questions from people that are in the church, outside the church, Christians, non-Christians, from everybody. So even though we are Christians, we talk to everyone. We talk to everyone, whether you consider yourself a Christian or not. It doesn't matter. That is not what we're talking about. We're just talking to everybody. We're availing ourselves to everybody because we want you to connect with us on this broadcast, so we could be a blessing, if I want to say it like that. While we're getting ready to attack this subject, I want to start off, actually, when I was writing down the questions that was asked, I think the first one, I'm not going to ask first. I'm going to ask the second one first. So I'm going to ask the second one first, okay? Is oral sex with my spouse unholy?
Absolutely no. I think when you have the right mate or the right consenting adult that you both agree to it, I think it's beautiful. I think it sometimes, if this is something you want to do as a partnership, it can enhance things in the bedroom. That doesn't mean that that you're not enhanced already in the bedroom. I just think sometimes it can bring spice if that's your choice. I think the problem is when one partner doesn't want to have it that way and the other one does, that becomes a problem. So I think it's one of those conversations you have to have with your partner and say, hey, is this something you want to try? And if they say absolutely no, you have to respect that. You don't want to put them in a position where they're doing something they don't want to do.
All right, so the question is oral sex with my spouse unholy? Well, the Bible says that marriage, and I think we quoted that last week, is honorable, and the bed is undefiled.
Correct, yeah.
Now, I have heard several Christians, and whether they have a title or not, I've heard several people debate over this topic. Not so much out the church, but in the church. And we're speaking to both people today. So I've heard several debates on this particular subject. I've heard Christians that say that they don't believe that God wants us to experience oral sex or indulge, I'll say, into oral sex. And I've heard other Christians that say we're supposed to do whatever we feel comfortable with. If you feel like you're doing something wrong, and your conscience feels like you're doing something wrong, then to you are doing something wrong. But if you are you feel comfortable with, like, this is what God gave you your spouse for, and then you are not doing something wrong.
That's right.
I think it's the way you think, and somebody can give you their opinion, but at the end of the day is what you feel in your heart and your spirit, because it goes with it actually goes with the second question that we're getting ready to ask, which is what if, now I'm not saying this is from a Christian or a non-Christian, it's just actually, what if one person believes in oral sex and the other person does not.
Yeah, that's, that just bears repeating what I said the first time. I think you have to both agree on it, I think, because it can be really tricky. I think that if your mate says no and he or she wants yes, you have to really respect the no. You do.
Right,
and I think because when you don't respect the no, you're opening other doors up. It becomes, you become shielded almost. So I think you can talk it out why, or can we try different things? But I think it's a balancing act there. I really do.
Yeah. Really, I don't know if I have a comment for that one, because I think it's something that you guys need to.
And I think too, when you love someone, I'm talking about real love. When you're in love with somebody, your bodies will know each other. Right. And you're going to know the limits. You're going to know your body's going to want to please and vice versa. And you know also too, when you cross that boundary, you get this thing that the bell inside you says stop here. So I think you respect that light when the light comes on.
Yeah. And sometimes it's, I think we were talking last week about, sex is sometimes is very a complicated topic. And you can be married for a long time and still not know how to express yourself, not only verbally, but know how to express yourself sexually. Yeah, definitely. Because that has its own voice.
Oh, no doubt.
And you could be a person that is very shy, or you could be married to somebody that is very aggressive. I think it can be a complicated thing. So patience.
Yeah, patience. But that's the thing about having that partner who knows you. Yeah. Because if that person is shy, he's going to know that. Right. Or she's going to know that, and you're going to take your time with that person. If you're aggressive and she's not, or vice versa, the right partner is going to know that. Yeah. And so I think when you have sometimes you're the wrong partner. Yeah. And we don't communicate, it can be very dangerous. Yeah. So I think communicate that with your spouse or your consenting adult, your feelings, and I think,
And if I may add, don't try to force anybody to do something that they don't want, because you're not going to be satisfied at the end of the day. You're the best person. I don't think you're going to get the best. I don't think neither one of you are going to enjoy it. You don't. That's one thing I will encourage is because if you do try to force them to do something, they could feel violated. Yes, and then now you have other issues.
Yes, I didn't want to go there, but that is true. They can feel violated. Yep.
Yeah. So honestly, I must say that a lot of the questions that we have today are from a lot of different people in church. Yeah. So I will say, because the third question is masturbation for Christians holy or unholy?
Okay, my take on holy is a little different. I think,
oh Lord,
holiness. Sometimes, this is me personally, I think sometimes as the church, and this is my personal opinion, we throw the word holiness around so much. It's almost offensive when I say this. Is why I say this, because it's not that we're holy or we work to be holy. That's impossible. Holiness comes from Christ that's in us. That's where holiness comes from. That's just how that's what it is. Exactly. So when it comes to masturbation, I got some there's different opinions I have about that. If you have a spouse who has, I just say, health issues, and I knew somebody years ago in my early 20s, a good friend of mine's, whose husband was not able to have an erection, and he just medical problems he was having, and so she was not having sex, period. So her choice was either take care of herself or cheat. And it's just what it is. And I'm I'm like, go for it, because you can pray till your face fall off. Right. We're still human and carrying the spiritual. This is for the Christian folks. Yeah. We are still human and have the house in the spiritual body. So I don't see anything wrong with that at all. Yeah. If those reasons. And then those who do it who are not believers, if you guys agree to that, I mean,
it's a tricky one. It's a tricky one. It is. Because then you have to think about casting down wicked imaginations. All of those. It is tough. That's a cast down, wicked
It
virgin.
is.
And the natural body goes through its own thing because that's the way God made us. Our natural body goes through its own thing. And I know a lot of people will say right away, that is not what you're supposed to do. That's not. And I'm very careful about what I say. I can believe certain things, but I'm very careful about what I say because I understand that same spirit inside of you, that same temptation that told you you don't need another cookie. I mean a real chocolate chip cookie or a real Oreo.
Right.
But you got out of your bed and you got that extra Oreo and you ate it and you wasn't thinking about pounds.
Yeah.
Or you drunk that extra caffeine drink, or all of those other things that we know. You didn't eat enough vegetables and different things. I know you saying I'm comparing oranges to apples, but the same temptations that causes you to do things that's not great for your health. That's not. I think sometimes we put things in categories, and we make this a bigger issue than this. And that God is really gonna judge this,
right.
But He's not gonna judge gluttony. He's gonna judge you if you do this, but you can overeat, which God, the Bible talks about gluttony and all of that. I think sometimes we categorize and we have grace for overeating, or we have grace for if somebody is frustrated smoking a cigarette, or we have grace for this, but we don't have grace for that. And and until you're single and in it or whatever, I just think the judgment of something needs to be. You need to think about that. And again, like I said, to actually combat against what I said, you do have verses and scriptures that you can use. You can submit yourself to God, resist the devil, he'll flee. All of those different scriptures that we can use, and we can have faith in that.
I think too, when it comes to masturbation, you have to also check your heart too, because sometimes there's underlying addictions there as well too, because of once again childhood scars that have not been dealt with. So there's a lot you have to do with self-inventory as well, because it can become also an addiction. It can become sex addiction. Some people don't think that can be true, but that is true, because if you have childhood issues, I hate to keep going back to that again, but I'm going to go there. If you have childhood issues, you were sexually abused, or you have abandonment issues, whatever it may be, it's caused you to get that high. It's like a cocaine addict. You're using sex as your cocaine, and if you find yourself sneaking, going in the closet while your wife is sleeping or your husband's sleeping, then that might be a problem there. So you got to really do a self-inventory to find out if this thing is pulling you to a point where you're getting out of bed in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, go to the middle of the night, there might be some issues.
That's a different. Talk about. Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, so
that is true.
That's it out.
And but having wanting sex and desiring sex is such a natural thing.
Yeah, definitely natural.
Yeah, it's such a natural thing, and your body starts going through changes at puberty, all the way up until just all the way up.
It's so funny. Why is it such a taboo though? I mean, with us, and why do we feel like it's such a thing you just don't want to talk about openly?
Right.
I mean, I don't understand why sex is such a. Even I say it now, normally you say that, but it's such a natural. Like you said, it's very natural. So why we make a big thing about it? Like, I just talk about my quiet time. This is something we should talk about in the church, outside the church, in your home. Separate people, whatever it be, it should just be something.
Because if we don't talk about it, a lot of people will hear about it, or your children will hear about it and have conversations, or they're on different sites or websites, and they have television and all of that, and they might hear something in a way that you wouldn't want them to.
Right. Yeah.
And I think it's our duty to bring, if we feel like we're mature and we can have a good conversation. I think it's our duty to speak on those things, because in other words, they're going to hear it from somewhere. And why
really
not hear it from an adult who is responsible? Just in a responsible adult.
Yeah, and you made
just
a good
somebody
point
responsible.
There, because kids will start being curious, and curiosity, they're going to start looking. So that's so key to discuss these issues with your children, because if not, the internet will, and then you have
their friends who only know as much as they know.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
All right. So, along with that, real questions: is porn unholy to watch with your spouse? Okay, so let me give you my opinion.
Yes, please. Yes, yes, yes.
I don't know what I want to call it.
Yeah.
But what I am afraid of, in my personal opinion, is you can open doors
Yeah.
that it's just like somebody giving you a sniff of cocaine. It's just like somebody giving you a sniff of crack. It's just like I'm not saying porn is wrong. I'm just
Yeah,
saying
I agree.
personally, this is another door that you can open that some people can go in, come out.
Yeah, this is what's going to have pros and cons.
That's yeah,
good.
and that's what no, and that's what's
why
good
it's
to have a
good.
conversation
Yeah,
because this
yeah,
conversation
definitely.
is getting good.
Yeah.
So, to me personally, I do feel like you can open a door just like with somebody can drink alcohol and socially they're okay. Other people can get some alcohol and become a alcoholic.
That's true.
And that is why I do believe I'm not saying that porn is wrong. I personally believe I don't care if it's with your spouse, without your spouse, you know, you're just an adult or some. I do believe there are certain doors that you can open in your life that you don't know what's on the other side of it.
That is true.
And can grab you like a snake and slowly suffocate you
That is true.
until you are I'll say intoxicated in your mind
With a fake fantasy.
And put you in chains where you can't get out and you will.
That's true.
And because every addiction doesn't necessarily come from a childhood scar. Some addictions come from curiosity killed the cat.
Amen. Oh, I was just thinking about that. That's good. I was just thinking about that.
Curiosity
That's
killed the cat.
Yeah, that's true.
You
That's
know,
good. That's
wondering
good.
what is on the other side of
Yeah.
that. And one of the things that I've heard from so many men when I got saved, and I used to hear ministers talking and preachers talking, that when they were exposed to things at a young age, it was hard to break.
Oh, I believe that.
Just if you showed them a magazine,
Yeah.
it was hard to break.
Yeah.
If you show,
The
and
fan-
now
the
we don't
fantasy of
have
it.
magazines. We have
Yeah.
the laptop and the
Yeah.
desktop and phones and stuff like that. But once they are exposed to that, that is hard to break. And even when you get married, it doesn't satisfy it.
That's true.
When you are dedicated to your spouse, it doesn't satisfy. That is a thing that's hard to break. And
It's
so
a fake fantasy.
yeah,
So
and
that's
so
what it is.
I
understand.
would
You're right.
think to
That's
be
good.
careful with that, my
Yeah.
personal
Yeah, that's
opinion,
good. That's really good.
because
Yeah,
you
'cause
can
it
find
can be.
yourself, right, you can
100%
find
what I
yourself
agree.
not necessarily cheating on your spouse with a physical person, but I do recall
fantasy.
having counsel with a couple whose husband wasn't touching her, but he was at the computer.
I believe that.
And he
That is
was at the
true.
computer
Yeah, that's true.
when she was right there.
Yeah, I believe
And
I-
that
I-
was
I
going
get
on.
that.
I
Yeah.
actually know two situations
Yeah.
that was like that.
Yeah.
I only counseled one of them, but two situations. And so you can't open
That is
a door.
true. That's
And
true.
I saw something else where a woman who was married, just had a great family, and she got into porn, and it ended up destroying her family.
Wow.
And she ended up leaving the home, and her husband was there taking care of the kids. Later, she got herself together, and that family was restored. But she did lose her
Yeah,
family
and
for a while.
that's a good
So
point. It really is.
I
That's good
you
though.
know,
That's actually good. That's enlightening. It really is.
Yeah.
That's true. Because you will become this fake fantasy in your head.
Right.
So yeah, that's true. That's good.
Right, yeah.
That's good.
So
That was good. It was good medicine.
Good medicine. All right, let's talk about these sex toys. Let's talk about sex, baby. Okay, so is it wrong using sex toys if you're a Christian? Oh, well, you already kind of gave us. You already kind of gave us the answer.
I told you, I had a friend of mine who was Ashley. Her husband was, he couldn't get erection, and
Let me pick up this other one.
had sex toys, and she had, and she masturbated in my early 20s.
Right.
And I get that because like you can pray to, like I said, you can pray your face fall. We're still human and spiritual. So, and I do believe all that, all this. But I think also too, God does give us grace for some things. Yeah. I do. We can't be so spiritual that we're not realistic here because, either that or she's going to cheat. I mean, she has her warm body of a spouse there she can hold on to, who loves her, but she still has pleasures she wants to enjoy. So, to say no, I say, I think it's okay. I think for specific reasons, okay. Yeah. And even if you have a healthy marriage, if you want to have sex toys in the bedroom and you both have two consenting adults, I think it's fine. I think it's fine. It's just one of those things where if one doesn't and one does, that's when the problem comes in. Yeah. So I think it's a conversation you have to have with the one that you love and say, hey, and know each other. You know, when you're in love with somebody, you want to honor that person, their feelings and their emotions. That all comes with it. So you're going to know that, you're going to know. Yeah.
And it's so funny how when we think about, sometimes you can be so uptight or so strict in how you think about stuff, but you're married to someone who, like you say, can go in the fantasy world, pull it up, look at a commercial now. You barely can look at certain commercials now. And you have all of these things out there. And then you as a spouse not feeling the liberty to spice up your relationship or the sex part of your relationship because you want, quote unquote, a good wife. But at the same time, realistically, there's so many other things out there that can capture your spouse's attention. And I'm not saying that do something you don't want to do, but I am saying that sometimes you can be trained or taught in such a way wherein you don't feel any liberation to have fun any kind of way in your house. And I feel like when you're married, you're grown, you can do whatever you want to do.
And I think too, to balance out some things I just said a little while ago, sex is a pleasure. So when you both are, and somebody's not taking care of themselves or investing in their own self as far as their growth, that can be a turn off. And so we all have to grow. We all have to groom ourselves, take care of ourselves mentally, physically, and emotionally, and you constantly grow. It's hard to open the cookie box for a woman to the cookie box and your significant other is not making some progress. I mean, if you're just, you have to, both of you, her too, you got to keep yourself up. And we talked last week about, men are, they're visual. We're visual too. We're visual too. And we don't just turn off and turn on like that. So, our bodies go through change. We go through menopause. You go through all these things. And, so it sometimes it's hard to, to open that box up when things aren't right at home. So I think working on that relationship at home, working on a relationship, whoever you're two consenting adults who love each other, that can enhance that situation. It can open different opportunities for both of you to enjoy each other. But I think it's hard to when your relationship is stale. And like you said earlier, you can't. And I'm gonna say this too. Nobody wants to. This is me saying this. Nobody wants to see someone, making love to the greatest gospel album. That's not something that, I love the Lord. But I'm not trying to go there. I'm just not trying to go there. I'm just not, because before I was saved, I was still this woman in the street. So I know what I want and vice versa. So set the atmosphere, get the move going, and not only that, love making starts through the day. So I just think that we have to keep all those things in consideration.
I do. And you can have fun with your mate. And I think some things we've been trained to think a certain kind of way, or or act a certain kind of way. But free yourself and free your mate, and just make sure you guys are on the same page. If you guys are on the same page, can't nobody else tell you what to do in your own house.
But respect no.
Right.
Respect the gift of no.
On both ends.
On both ends, yes. Ends.
Because there are men that may have had a different experience, women that may have had a different experience, and me coming out of, at one point, a mega church, understanding so many diversities in how people think and what they came out of and what they're free from, that there are some male figures that only believe in one way.
Right.
And females that only believe in one way.
Yeah.
Because of, I'm born again now.
Right,
I can't do certain things now.
Yeah.
And maybe your spouse is not being pleased. So I do think it's good to have a conversation, talk, and free yourself, because God wants you to enjoy your spouse. So yeah, he wants you to enjoy your spouse. So we're getting down to those questions. Yeah. And okay, now this is a question. I think I've heard this question asked over the years, several times over the years. And so it's been asked again today. But the question is it a sin sleeping with my spouse if we are separated? So
that's dangerous, because I think personally, if
it's not a sin though.
No, it's not a sin.
Okay, go.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
right,
The
right.
question is, it's not a sin. If you're married and you're trying to work on your marriage, it's not a sin. But the problem is, if she's got one foot in and he's got one foot out, and you both see other people on the side, that's dangerous. Because not only we're worrying about diseases out there, most importantly, first and foremost, you have to honor your own body first. So when you start doing that, if he's in one place or she's in one place, whatever, and you guys come together, do you know he's not sleeping around? Do you know she's not sleeping around? I mean, how do you know that? So, I mean, you have to really...
They might not care.
Right, and they might not care, but me personally,
I would care, but
I mean, it's heck to know for me, because I
care.
do believe that when you lay it with somebody or sleep with someone, I just think it has to be someone, it has to be something sacred. No matter how you slice, for me personally, it has to be something sacred, because I don't want somebody entering my life, entering me, that's not, that's not going to be, something, that's sacred. So for me, it's a no for me. But hey, to each his own.
Right, yeah. So to answer the question, the answer is no.
Yeah.
It is not a sin for you to sleep with your spouse.
Yeah.
Now, it's a risk.
It's a risk. Yeah. It's not a sin,
Now, we got a lot of natural
risk.
things that we can say that might be that you want to think about, but it's a sin. It's not.
No.
But at the same time, like Kimberly said, it's a risk to take with it.
And then always ask the question, why did we separate? Because if he or she can knock on the door at any time, they have a drought, they're pulling something from you constantly. If you don't see this marriage getting back together again, you're giving yourself up, and they're knocking, and you're feeling alone again. So you have to also ask your question, why did we separate? What is the cause of why we separated? Is this a chance we're going back together again? Are we going through counseling? If not, I wouldn't entertain that door, because you're giving yourself up each time. And is it something you're going to are you going to reap the benefit of that?
And it seems like you would stay tied in that situation. You would stay tied. And some couples probably just feel like they can't get along,
right?
And they're separating, and they're in this monogamous relationship with each other,
right?
And they have that agreement while they're working on it. It could be something like that.
And
who knows?
Right, that can be too. But also too, if you both choose to have sex only with each other, then hey, go for it. Go for that. But if
hopefully they work it out.
That's something.
But do you have some?
No, that was the other thing.
So but let me go over real fast.
I thought we had a question about if my husband is cheating.
We have lots of cheating questions. I didn't write them down.
Okay.
But we will answer all of your. Don't think we forgot about you, because we will answer all of your cheating questions. It's just that we want to put them in a category.
Yeah.
So we want to put all the cheating questions with all the cheating questions, all the sex. We did sex toys and oral sex because we had a couple of one, a couple of the other.
Yeah.
And then I think for the questions we had last week, that was kind of like in the same category.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do a rundown on this right now before we close out. And then when we do answer a lot of with cheating questions and dating questions, I think we're gonna entitle that the blind spot. I think that was gonna be a lot about the blind spot, which
yes, that's right.
Which it will really be a really good some steps to look at. Wanted to elaborate on, but I could not think of what that thing was. It's all sex with just
that was good.
Yeah, it was really good. Listen, that's because we have so many questions and we want to make sure we answer all of the questions. Now, listen, you may not agree with me or Kimberly or both of us or one of us. It doesn't matter. We're just here to be, just to give our opinion, to give our little bit of wisdom that we had over the years in our experience.
Open the conversation, have the conversation. We all
to have a conversation, to have a conversation, to bring it to the light, to just act, to answer your questions to the best of our ability. And like we said, if you do have any questions, don't forget to comment at the bottom of the screen. Or if you want your question to be anonymous, you can email us at tktvhouston@gmail.com. It doesn't really have to be anonymous. You can still email us. We'll give you a shout out. tktvhouston@gmail.com.
And don't forget to subscribe to our channel. So we're looking forward to your answers, your questions, your conversation, all those hot topics. Give us an email and we make it happen. Let's keep lighting this match every week. So until next time, see you later. Bye-bye.